What is the role of our teachers? Teachers play a pivotal role in child safety and protection. You have access to children, you watch their relationships, you see them in a different way that even their parents are able to see them. You essentially see them in action, the good, the bad, and the ugly. For teachers, it's very important that you know your role. It's important to be resourceful. How are you getting to know your students? The first thing you would have to do in the very beginning is have a systematic way of knowing everybody's name. Eventually, this happens. But what if you could plan this out ahead of time? Maybe in terms of their seating arrangements. Maybe in terms of their hobbies and the things that they love to do. There has to be ways in which you try to get to know your children. Trust me, it will make your work easier. When you know that a certain child loves Spider-Man, by the time you bring a storybook on Spider-Man, you've caught his attention. You need to have ways of knowing your children. And there are easy ways in which you can do this. You can do this through surveys, so interest surveys that you may give to them in the beginning of the year to find out what they like, what they don't like, where their interests lie. You can do this by communicating with their family members. They know them very well. Talk to your parents, your family members about children. Oftentimes, children also have baggages that they bring to the classroom, and we don't want to add onto that baggage when they're with us. Thirdly, when it comes to issues of relationship building, how are you maintaining confidentiality? You must not talk about your students to other students or to other staff. You must recognize your role is an important one. Now, when it comes to issues of safeguarding, any slight issue of safeguarding, you must document. As a teacher, you must document, especially when it comes to issues of discipline. It's very important that you keep a log, behavior log, for your children so that you have something to refer to if it needs to be escalated. We are not going to wait for things to get out of hand before we ring the alarm. As we all know, even with parents, when we were children, we probably did not like our parents too much because of the discipline they gave us, and they were always on our case. But where we are today, we can all praise them. Same thing with teacher. Don't feel that you are covering up for some child. You are not the child's friend. You are the child's teacher. And whether or not the child likes you is none of your business. It is nice for our children to like us, but at the end of the day, you should always have the long-term and short-term interests of your children at the forefront. And that should drive the way in which you interact with them. You should not be inappropriate. They should not talk about inappropriate things around you. Yes, sometimes teachers can suffice as friends, but you must know how and when to draw the line. Now, when it comes to disagreements that children may have, which is bound to happen, when it comes to disagreements that they have within your classroom, school setting, on the playground, whatever have you, you need to escalate these things immediately. And when I mean escalate, you need to have some sort of form in which you can objectively ascertain what the next step should be. Now, if two children are fighting, there may be a genesis of that issue you are not aware of. And if you overlook it as children just being children, it may escalate to something you never imagined. So teachers, you have a unique opportunity to witness children in academic and non-academic interactions. Use this to your advantage. have your ear to the ground and make sure that there's a systematic way in which you can quickly assess what needs to be escalated and to whom. It could be a verbal warning is the first step, which will be documented. Could be a verbal warning. Secondly, could be an interaction between yourself and the student where you are calling them to meet with you and they're signing that they recognize what they did was wrong and they promise not to do it again. That's documented. And then if you have to escalate it from that, maybe a parent or guardian needs to come into school. You need to have a way of, number one, documenting everything that occurs with all of your children, and number two, a means in which you can escalate every single type of issue.